IllFonic just revealed something that could completely change Halloween the game. Most viewers won't notice it, most creators won't talk about it, but hidden in this video is a detail that could answer one of the biggest questions fans have been asking about Halloween the game. And once you see it, everything starts to make sense. Let's take a closer look.
Exciting stream lined up for you today. Here's a breakdown of the event agenda. We're going to be diving into single player. We're going to be touching on the heroes of Haddonfield. We're going to be talking about some alternate costumes and cosmetics. We're going to be talking about multiplayer, maps, meta unlocks, Michael versus civilians, and last but certainly not least, our community Q&A. So a lot of stuff to touch on today, and we're excited to have you with us. So we unveiled Halloween the game as a single player and multiplayer horror experience. So I think we should kick things off today by diving into the single player component of this game. So we've given overviews of what this is through hub posts, and as you see on the screen here, an official trailer for our single player story mode. But this is essentially for us like a reimagined alternate extended cut that allows players to experience the night Michael came home from his perspective. And so we're really excited about that. And Jordan, for players diving into this for the very first time, what can they expect from the single player story mode?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really enjoyable to work with Pollard Studio to construct this. It's always been a big, important part of what we want to accomplish with this game, because we realize how important this story mode is to a lot of people, just to get that sense of what we can explore, but as well give people an opportunity to really get used to and understand the nuances of playing Michael Myers. So we have 6 chapters set up. You know, a lot of this stuff we have, you know, like you'd mentioned, we had written up a good hub post that really dove into some of this, but some of the other things, you know, sitting down with the 6 chapters, we do have multiple cinematics that, you know, there's clips of it in the trailer that kind of give an idea of what they're going to look like as you go through, that tell the story and kind of connect the pieces of these chapters into what our discoveries are behind the scenes of the original film. So it's been a lot of fun piecing that together, and we've also woven a lot of tutorials and helpful moments throughout that really reinforce the different aspects of playing Michael, and pieces that are really helpful to learn early on before you jump into the multiplayer. So yeah, go for it.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, you're good.
Okay, sorry. Each time players are in these chapters, they play through various objectives. They're mostly centered around killing these residents of Haddonfield while approaching towards the final movies the final scenes from the film with the babysitters. But there's also some open-ended moments that allow you to explore in a bit more depth and discover everything that each of these places has to offer, including some story-based collectibles and other little things. So we've also set up, and a good portion of it does have checkpoints as well, so that you can get in and you know, I'll go into a bit more detail in kind of the replayability factor, but making sure that we're kind of splitting these up and giving you an opportunity to face some of the more challenging moments and be able to restart at an easier point. So that's been a kind of the big summary of all the main gameplay aspects you can expect to see, and it really does lead into trying to reinforce the care we've given to make sure that these are replayable experiences as well, because there isn't a specific right way to do this. It's very much a sandbox approach, as we've done with the multiplayer, and giving the direction and the tools and the main objectives, but allowing you to explore what each situation has to offer.
Yeah, as we've kind of showcased in our trailer here and teased a bit, like one of the most exciting things I think about this is that not only do you get to experience some very iconic moments from the original film that I know fans will be very stoked about, but we also have the rare opportunity to kind of introduce moments that have not been seen in the film. And I think that's a really cool opportunity for us. You touched on replayability a little bit here, but that's something I really kind of want to hone in on. Is replayability and player rewards have been really core pillars for us and the team when it comes to building this game. So when it comes to the single player story mode, what kind of things can players chase and look forward to by replaying the single player story mode?
Yeah, I mean, there's each chapter we have designated and set up um, multiple different types of approaches to each of the chapters, as well as chapter challenges, kind of that secondary layer of as you go through these and you kill people in certain ways, there's very specific ways that will unlock that. And give you a cosmetic that will then be usable in multiplayer. So it really lets you explore and discover all of the options in that and look to find, oh, it's calling this out. I obviously need to figure out how this person needs to die. And then in order to do that, it takes a little bit of time to understand their pathing and you know what they're doing and where you need to get them close enough to. So, but yeah, like I said, it unlocks those cosmetics so that you can play through, get those in multiplayer, and show off that you've been able to complete these different challenges we put before the player, and alongside of that, different difficulties, being able to apply kind of different levels of how you're approaching each of these chapters in how the AI or the NPCs are responding to you, how that plays out, as well as giving you a really nice layout of scores and ratings, because each time you're completing these chapters, there's a lot of factors of, you know, what was possible during the chapter, how did you complete it, was it, you know, the way Michael Myers should have completed it, or how he's best known for, and then giving you a rating that you can continually improve on and get better at, all in kind of the idea, like I said, of really training the player to understand the ins and outs of Michael's nuance, so that when it comes to a multiplayer approach, it's not as daunting of an experience. There's a little bit more that you're able to learn from this, and as well as having that, you know, the cinematic experience that goes along with it. So we're quite excited.
Yeah, and as we've showcased at this stage, Michael's kit is very diverse. He has a lot of tools at his disposal, and some of those tools are very unique to this game. And so, yeah, that story mode also kind of reinforces like the introduction to all those skills and how to use them. And I think that'll be really exciting, so players can go into the multiplayer experience with a good understanding of how to be the best Michael they can be.
Yep.
One other thing I did want to call out, that in addition to the single player story mode, players will be able to go into single player matches as Michael as well. So you can, again, further hone your skills, further get some practice, and murder as many residents as you possibly can imagine. So in addition to playing as Michael Myers in the single player story mode, our cast of new, original, and returning legacy characters. They will be featured in here, and I did want to give a quick recap for those unaware of the amount of characters that we've showcased so far. But earlier this year, we started kind of introducing our community to these civilians, starting with the heroes of Haddonfield here. We have Tanya Harrison on the left, Rachel Callahan, Thomas Armitage, Jennifer Aarons, and Marcus Navarro. After that, we introduced players to our boy Eric Dunn, the loyal Nichols Hardware employee, ahead of our single-player trailer. And most recently, we confirmed that Bob Sims, Linda Vanderklok, Laurie Strode, and Annie Brackett would also be heading to this game with some exciting reimagined designs. So we have 10 playable characters confirmed for the standard edition on day one, which is pretty awesome. All 10 of these characters will be featured in the game's single-player story mode. And if you splurge and get the digital deluxe edition, we have also confirmed that Richard Hawthorne and Alexis Purcell will be available on day one as well, bringing that roster to 12. 12 characters. Jordan, that's a lot of characters here. What are the team's hopes and goals with launching the game with this roster?
Well, there's definitely kind of two approaches. Like, obviously, when we first started the project, we realized how crucial this was as part of this type of experience. We've always seen there's been a deep connection between horror fans and just the victims of these films, and it makes sense. And there's a lot of just things you can take from the charisma and personality. So it's something where we really wanted to expand all these characters and make sure that they're fully voiced and have these backstories as far as who they are, what their what their personalities are, what they would act like, so that we could then build off of that for what their options are for cosmetics that we'll obviously get into, as well as what they're doing in the single player, where they are, what they're up to at any given point when Michael's encountering them. So it's something that was really exciting to expand on the already kind of list of legacy characters into something where we made more of these 1978 people that live in this town of Haddonfield. So it was very exciting to craft that, as well as then go into detail of all the gameplay aspects, which there's so much more to we'll dive into over time. But we've already mentioned characters will have traits, little things that give them uniqueness over each other and what they're doing, as well as attributes that are built towards the characters themselves. There's been a lot of just kind of you can look at the gameplay if you see what's happening and see all the places and guess kind of the direction each of these characters are going to go when someone excels at repairing things, or someone excels at just talking to people and interacting. Some people might not excel at those things, so we really want to do a nice push and pull that also gave characters people could connect with and have fun with, because part of this is a very social game. It's about interacting with each other, it's about interacting with other people, and then ultimately watching these people die. And sometimes those screams are just a little bit more enjoyable when you know the people that are behind them.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things about this game, is just running through the streets of Haddonfield and then just hearing a scream in the distance and then wondering whether or not, like, oh no, is that my squad mate? Somebody I love is getting murdered right now.
It's eerie, but it's so crucial to that experience, and I've loved it so far.
Yeah, I'm glad you reiterated on that, because yeah, we have touched on the fact that there will be unique reasons from a gameplay standpoint to choose these characters. But as you touched on, we also understand that people really connect to the looks and the personalities of these characters. So I think that combination of the story mode into multiplayer will really give a great view of like who these people are, and give players opportunities to get in there and role play their own little horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing we haven't really touched on at this stage is we have introduced you to these 10 and 12 civilian characters, but we've only shown you their default multiplayer appearances, which means we haven't really shown the community how they look in the single player story mode, which is notably different. Jordan, what do you think? Should we show off some of these alternate looks for these characters?
You're gonna go to do it without my approval.
You're damn right. So first up, we have Rachel Callahan in all her goth glory here. Oh yeah, I mean, I know Rachel is a fan favorite. A lot of people in the community have gravitated towards Rachel, and I get it. She is awesome. Up next, we have Marcus Navarro, strutting his, look at that, his badass biker gear. He's looking good. He's got the tore up jeans. Stoked about that. And last but certainly not least, we have an iconic movie look for Annie here. Oh, look at that. Look at that shawl. Look at that shawl.
An important shawl.
So yeah, we are very excited about the customization, the alternate outfits, all the ways players can express themselves in Halloween the game. One thing I wanted to kind of touch base with the community on is kind of like our approach, considering the fact that we are in Halloween 1. Things are based on the original film. That means we're set in the 70s. What's our team's approach to respecting that period, respecting the IP, but also giving players, freedom to dress as they wish?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of just these characters in general, is trying to find and exist in a realm of reality of this Haddonfield back in 1978, while really leaning into what makes each of their backstories unique. What kind of things are they up to on a daily basis, and kind of emulated in the same way we see the babysitters from the movie and kind of what they're up to. So we wanted to lean into that, but also we've got a lot of effort into making sure that everything aligns, in a grounded space around this time period. But there's also just expression, and we want to make sure that there's a very nice balance that moving forward, and everything that you'll see moving forward in the other outfits. This is obviously just a taste, where other characters will get similar. So it's going to be fun, and a lot of the things that we'll put will make sense for the characters to wear in the time frame and period.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked like what the scope of customization is, so we did want to touch on the things that you can customize. So obviously there will be alternate outfits. You'll also be able to customize civilians' hair, their eyewear, and their makeup and blemishes as well, which is very exciting. So, in addition to these looks, there are multiple looks for all the civilians the players can chase down, which is exciting. So you will have a lot of opportunities to really change the way these characters look in really meaningful ways. But it's not just all about the civilians, all right? We got our boy Michael, the star of the show, arguably, and we did want to touch on some of the ways you can customize the appearance of Michael Myers. We have shown smaller glimpses of these skins, but we have a look at 2 cosmetics that you can earn in-game for Michael Myers. Right here we have the Sam Hain Michael, looking badass and ready for bloodshed here. And then we also have little clown Michael, all grown up. So yeah, there's going to be ways. Again, Michael has a very iconic look. That mask is legendary, but there are going to be some really cool things that you can chase down. I hate to be a tease, but we do have some looks I think fans of the original film are going to be incredibly stoked about at launch. So look forward to more. Unfortunately, for some of that, we're not really going to show you. So I'm just going to tease you for now. Before we dive into the multiplayer segment, I did want to call out that we will be touching on some of the other items that players can unlock and earn outside of alternate outfits in the stream as well. So stick around. But for now, let's talk some multiplayer. We've shown off all the amazing looks you can bring into multiplayer, but I think it's important we dive into the core multiplayer mode for Halloween the game. And we've dropped a multiplayer overview, and we did our best to kind of showcase what makes this game unique and special. But there are so many pieces to this game, Jordan, that I feel like you really need to hammer on, what's the unique hook with Halloween the game as a studio that's been in the asymmetrical horror space for quite some time now?
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of being able to explore this genre more, because the asymmetrical games that we've made and the asymmetrical games that exist, I feel it's really just scratching the surface and the opportunities that there are there, especially with the capabilities of our time now and the technology. There's just so much more to explore. So it's been very fun to really lean into all the pieces that we've learned in the past that we designed and structured this game around to make it unique. I believe the what we've done with Michael and who he is as a killer role in this is so impactful to what this game offers, and the abilities, the shape jump obviously being a huge one, is being able to give players the opportunity to be the drivers of jump scares and being able to sneak up and truly surprise and freak people out. It's something that happened very early on as a goal for us to establish, but we really worked hard to make sure that when we went to PAX and we started actually seeing people dive in, that we were witnessing it, and it came forward there too. And the people that have seen a lot of the footage of just more shape jump, you start to see where it becomes a very skilled, unique process to get it in and around and in front of people, around them, getting to different places to stalk. It just creates a very unique experience that is constantly driving forward the tension of the match. And we just continue in playtest to see these amazing moments take place, and they're never quite the same because of then the additional layers of this sandbox as a whole. Having these NPCs enters this entire new realm of possibility that gives players more to feed on as far as just boosting approaching them in a way that they're now beefing you up to fight on and score more points and wreak more havoc in Haddonfield, but they're also very much reactive to both sides. So there's a lot that can be done with where you're saving NPCs and trying to stay connected with them to get them out of the maps while Michael is chasing you all down and breaking you up and catching your friends, and there's just so much uniqueness that comes from that combination. And like you said, there's a cocktail of just so many other things that just add those layers upon layers of possibility to encounters. So it becomes a nice consistent loop that also evolves, expands into a lot of different crazy situations. So there's so much there that's been happening and that will continue to happen once we go live. And I'm so excited to see all the different things people do and all the different ways that we can continue to improve this even. So it's been fun to continue this asymmetrical genre forward, and I look forward to exploring even more of what that means. I think that's the biggest things right there.
Yeah, and I think for us, the proof of concept has been a lot of our internal playtests where we have people who've played for hundreds and hundreds of hours getting in there and scaring each other and having those moments where Michael just gets the jump on you. You're doing something else, you feel that moment of safety and security, and then that shifts and he's just there. And being able to jump after so much playtime is just such a testament to that foundation that we built here. And I think our sandbox elements really kind of add a lot of rich layers that let players choose how they want to play this game. And there's been so many moments in our playtests where just absolute chaos ensues with a group and Michael enters the scene, everyone scatters, whether it's on a bike, whether it's on a car, and there's just so much pandemonium, just like quintessential classic horror movie moments. And that's the stuff I'm so stoked to see when this game is out in the wild.
I agree.
So some other outside of the core multiplayer experience, outside of matchmaking, I do want to just kind of quickly rattle through some and confirm some features. Some of these we've already touched on previously, but outside of matchmaking, you will be able to load into private matches with up to 5 players, play with your friends. We are going to allow duplicate civilians, so don't worry if someone chooses your main, even though we do have a pretty robust roster. If you want to stack that lobby, that's fine. We're going to allow duplicates, which is awesome. And we will also have an in-game friends list and crossplay for this as well. I did want to call out cross progression because we've had some questions about that. We don't currently have plans for cross progression, but there will be crossplay available on all platforms. Jordan, anything else we want to touch on in multiplayer?
I think, last thing, just to acknowledge and say the queuing. There we understand there's importance around addressing that, and we will talk about it at a later date closer to launch, because we know that it obviously is a big part of how people play these games, and we've been just gathering a lot of that experience and just making sure we're getting the right thing there. And I want to make sure we have that all in a good spot to give the details and really walk through it so people are very much aligned with it. But then additionally, we want to make sure that we're not splitting up parties. I think that's just kind of something that's kind of in tandem there that I think is good to call out for that situation.
Yeah, and that is very important. If a squad groups together, they don't have to worry about being separated in the matchmaking pool, which is, I know very important for a lot of people. So appreciate you touching on that. And like you said, as we get closer to launch, we'll have some more details to share on specifically what that looks like. All right, so in addition to 12 playable civilian characters, we've also shown 3 distinct maps that all your multiplayer shenanigans will unfold in. And that all started with Haddonfield Heights, the quiet suburban neighborhood, which is home to the Myers House and the Strode House. We have Haddonfield Town Center, which is home to Nichols Hardware and the bustling cultural downtown of Haddonfield. And we also have Orange Grove Estates, which is the upscale neighborhood, home to the Wallace and Doyle residences. So Jordan, outside of unique visual flavor, how are we ensuring that each of these maps look and feel distinct?
Yeah, this has been something that has been a big improvement part on, like something we've really driven to expand on for this game. There's kind of a fundamental starting point of we need to build Haddonfield from 1978. There's a guiding light there as far as what we were trying to accomplish, but that's from an aesthetic point. It also comes into the gameplay in a sense that a lot of the things that we're designing from the sandbox perspective is trying to think about the possibilities of what it's like to actually run around a neighborhood. There's a lot of times from my childhood I can remember, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but I did have time when I was growing up where I lived in the Midwest. I was very familiar with just the culture of being outside and getting in trouble and being a pyromaniac with fireworks and various things that I got up to. So I wanted to make sure that we were recreating what it felt like to do that, which then in turn had to make sure that the look, the spacing, the feel of the actual neighborhood needs to make sense as we expand into more commercially kind of influenced areas. Like all these pieces need to fit what would exist in Illinois in the 70s. And then as we looked at that and got kind of that really good sense of the types of locations, it was about really breaking down the types of structures, because the types of structures are a big part of the gameplay. Once you look at it, there's obviously a very big difference between external outside gameplay and internal structure gameplay. So each of these maps has different types of structures. Some of them have houses. There's varying degrees of single story. There's second story houses. There's bigger commercial buildings. There's other types of places that just create different types of situations, but ultimately have the same gameplay elements. So we've been able to really shuffle around and build unique spacing and locations while using a lot of the same aspects that make it feel like a neighborhood, but also leveraging things like I mentioned. Second story houses is it's a huge thing for gameplay, because now you've got a whole dynamic where there is a second story window you can jump out of, or a balcony you can leap off of, that creates a final moment of, this is going to hurt, but at least I breathe another few seconds. So that in between the different spacing, there's car densities, there's hedges, fences, foliage, roads, street lights. The lighting is obviously a big portion, just because of the fact that Michael relies on, that is obviously a bad thing for his traversal, and in portions where he's trying to navigate through that, lit up areas are much more difficult to navigate. So there's definitely a size difference amongst these different maps, as well as just spacing and kind of layout differences that make a really unique approach to it each time, that is additionally flavored with the visual aspects that make these locations different each time. So it's very, very fun to be able to have this type of variety, so that each time you're playing, there's a lot to explore and learn about these. It's not going to be something there's map knowledge that needs to be learned from where you need to go and where you can get through fences and where the nearest phone location is going to be. There's just a lot of little things like that, on top of the fact that we have randomized a lot of gameplay throughout that as well, to just further increase the just feel that these are different each time you play them. So hopefully that kind of boils down to what we're looking at, but that's how I see these from what we've developed.
Yeah, I know the team was very excited to reveal Orange Grove Estates because there's some really great verticality to that map. Not only the multi-story houses, but as you can tell in that fly-through, there is this big hill in one section of the map that overlooks the lower section, and it's got this great flow and energy, and it affects line of sight. And with
The park
Michael,
too, like that open space is big. Yeah.
and Michael's ability to just like stare people down, like that line of sight is so important to the design. And I think our level design team has really done a great job making these landscapes, while true to the period, true to the state, feel very distinct from a gameplay perspective.
The amount of Hunter, our lead level designer, he has the references that he compiled of just like plain imagery from the time and things to just like really understand the true inner workings of Midwestern culture and layouts and infrastructure. Like there's so much that goes into that, but at the end of the day, it comes forward in a very nuanced place where you don't even think about it. It's kind of second nature to a lot of us to walk through these places and see them occupied, and we really wanted to make sure that that was coming through.
Perfect. Yeah, I think players are going to be very excited when they get to really explore these play spaces for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And another wrinkle that we have added to this game to ensure that feeling between matches stays very fresh and unique is that we have variable weather effects. So between matches, there are different weather conditions that you'll see. So when you load into a map, every single map has the opportunity to have a different weather effect. And it changes not only the look and feel of the game, but just kind of the energy. And so what elements in your eyes does this system add to the overall experience for the player?
So the different aspects are pretty straightforward in that it's something, it's different for your senses. It creates an entirely different ambiance for these locations. Being inside of a house when it's raining is that pitter patter of the rain muffled outside, and seeing it run down the windows, that type of stuff is just, it changes the look, but it also makes it harder to see distances. The wind and what that does to the foliage creates tougher visual connection points as the players are scanning these locations, so they can really kind of add that layer, as well as just being louder and being something that you're not always going to pick up the footsteps or the breathing of Michael in every situation. So it definitely puts you on your toes and gives you a little something to switch up each of these. And once again, we've tried to keep this grounded in Illinois 1978. Let's try and look at the weather patterns at a rough level just to see kind of what would actually be happening there, and keep it as close as we can, while also giving this layer that allows players to experience these levels in a different state.
There is something very very awesome about seeing Michael just standing in the rain, just that shadowy
Drenched.
shape off in the distance, just drenched in the rain. That and you saw it in our multiplayer overview trailer. We were very excited about showcasing like how tough he looks in that situation. So yeah, there's some great flavor to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, up next, we are going to talk a bit about meta unlocks. We do have plans to have a more in-depth overview ahead of launch, but we did want to spend some time today talking about some of the other pieces that you can unlock in this game outside of alternate outfits. And we're going to start with profile icons, profile backgrounds, titles, and player cards. So in Halloween the game, players are going to have the opportunity to unlock these items by completing various challenges and customize their own profile cards, which again is an added layer of customization within this experience. Jordan, I know our team is working very hard to provide as many rewards as possible in this experience. So outside of something like profile icons, backgrounds, what other layers are we adding to that chase and that hook for Halloween the game?
Yeah, I mean, this has always been a fun part. I've been a part of most of our meta progression kind of build outs over time. For this one, trying to keep it focused on the big things that'll kind of drive forward a lot of stuff. We have profile level. That is an overall tracker on your profile. We'll have a killer Michael Myers specific level. We'll have each civilian will have their own levels. Each of these are gained by obviously playing with those characters, and then as well as starting weapon levels for Michael. He'll be able to select a starting weapon after unlocking them with the correct killer level, of course, and then be able to level those weapons up as he's using them, which unlocks other things I'll get to in a second. We have a lot of progressive challenges for each of the different killer skins, as well as each of the different civilians. So each of those have a progressive steps to challenges, so you have to complete one to complete the next, and we'll load in unlocks throughout those different things to really focus on, I'm playing this character, I'm going to unlock a lot of things in relation to that, as well as sprinkling in things like the profile cards and banners and giving you things unique to that experience. Passive challenges as well, just kind of an overall just tracker of a lot of your different things that are pretty common. We've set up different books for the different sides that kind of give you a lot of different opportunities to test and play a lot of the different features and unlock more things that you can then customize further. So that's kind of a lot of the big things for where you'll be unlocking these things. But there's also things like experience that you'll get, as well as different executions, tints, and things, and for Michael especially, and his weapons. And then also we have an in-game currency, and that kind of goes into something that I'm not going to get into too deep here, because this is kind of a part of and will be fleshed out in Miles, as he had mentioned, the kind of going over more of this metagame stuff. But civilian perks, we've definitely shown and given pretty, they've been in all the gameplay. You've seen them, we've mentioned them, and we want to make sure that we get a nice solid dive into those. But essentially at a high level, you have a perk inventory on your menu that you'll be able to roll for perks and get different perks that you can then equip to decks. And those decks are what you equip to your characters going in, so that is what, when you're earning those perks in game, that's where it's drawing from. Because there's just a lot of things we wanted to make sure are not getting too competitive, and this is one of those aspects where we feel like we can take a nice casualized approach to it and make sure it remains in a fair category for the use cases. So we'll dive into those more later, but you earn currency, you use that to bolster your perk decks, kind of build those up, make them what you need them for your different situations. You equip them to your different characters and jump in to try and survive. So there's kind of the big things that I can think of besides all the cosmetics and things. There's just a lot to unlock everywhere. So we're really excited to see people jump in, and we want to definitely put some of those really special Michael skins and different things that we feel are noteworthy. We want to make sure we put them in a place that is rewarding to get to, and you can be in multiplayer and brag about the fact that you got here. Make sure people see that and really know that, oh wow, this person went to these lengths to get that, because that's going to be very, very impactful and crucial to the multiplayer peacocking experience that we all know and love.
Yeah, we definitely want some unlocks that you can bring into the lobby and just flex. We've joked about how we want we want those items that when you see in the lobby, you say, "Oh no, I know exactly how much this person's played Halloween the game," and just increasing that level of fear. So yeah, as you touched on, there are a lot of systems and layers to the overall meta game in Halloween the game. And because of that, like I touched on, we are going to break those out more specifically, but I think it was important to really touch on high level, all the things you can look forward to. And there are a lot of elements that are going to give you stuff to kind of chase and earn and feel good every time you play this game. So the next section we're going to dive into are some of the dynamics between Michael versus civilians when it comes to abilities and that back and forth. We've showcased quite a bit of Michael's kit at this stage: shape jump, killer sense, reality tear, detection pulse, blackout. There have been a lot of pieces that we've shown, and we want to spend some time kind of reiterating what that means for the overall player experience, showing off new ways you can use those, and then kind of, discussing a little bit of the back and forth between Michael and civilians. So at PAX earlier this year, we let players go hands-on. As Jordan touched on, people got to play this game for the first time. They got to use detection pulse. They got to try shape jump. They got to really go hands-on with Michael to get a feel for that. What you'll notice in this clip that we're running here is some differences if you played at PAX or if you saw footage from PAX when it comes to detection pulse and shape jump and how they operate. So Jordan, I thought this was a great opportunity for us to kind of really speak to, how a player would use detection pulse and shape jump to put pressure on civilians, and then on the flip side, how civilians could fight back against that.
Yeah, it was really great to see people play the game and just that sense of understanding how powerful different things are. We had our own ideas and kind of understandings from playtesting as to where things were going, and we had kind of established those routes for where we were going to step next. But ultimately, we wanted to see everything in action at PAX before we made any big moves. But being able to see it confirmed pretty much everything we were feeling, which is always a good feeling, of course, that you're on the right track. But essentially, it came down to really refining how detection pulse was working. For one, it was very powerful. It was marking people and isolating them regardless of where they were. There was just a lot of power in how it was allowing him to detect and get close to people. So we wanted to make sure that this allowed for a couple layers. One being the fact that inside of a structure, it marks the structure instead of your specific location. We felt it was very important that Michael had to understand that they're in something, but now that they're in there, he's got to get in up close, figure out what part of the house they're in, and then actually do his thing. So that was a big balance. There's also been some more work into allowing you to find the blind spots as a civilian, so that when you are aware that detection pulse is happening, there's a few things you're going to be able to do to kind of avoid or at least deter the outline that's placed on you, to try and avoid and evade that. I believe the one other thing we did is when you're inside of a house and trigger it, once again, it still is just showing you that there's someone in there rather than giving you the exact location. So there's safety in houses, and that was the kind of next big part of this, was how we were approaching shape jump and how there was a little bit too much accessibility in that build into houses. You were able to phase through any wall or any door and window. That was just a little bit too easy access. It was not giving us that, oh, he's outside. Like, we have 35 seconds or 45 seconds until he figures out how to shut the power and get in or find an opening. It was more so he was just in there already. So we definitely wanted to make sure that as you get inside these houses and you turn on the lights, you're safe for a little bit. It's not the entire time, but at least gives you this reprieve so that you can loot really quick, find a hiding spot, maybe recruit somebody really fast to help you fight back. There's just multiple things that we wanted to give that breathing room. So we blocked off any window or door that is under the influence of light in a room. So you can see that Michael found a room that wasn't lit, that he was able to get inside this laundry room. So civilians that are knowing that he's chasing you, you close the door, you lock the doors, you make sure all the lights are on. That's your layer of protection from the brief amount of time you're going to get to get out of there and make a move. So it's really added this, it's really worked out nicely for what we've added, and I'm excited to see it in action. It really paces through the encounters better, and then gives Michael another thought process of, do I really feel like it's necessary to chase this person? There's going to be some choices there that maybe that's enough to deter him for a little bit, and he goes elsewhere to find another target. So there's been a lot that we've gone into making sure that these are feeling solid and also play very nicely together. And we can also get a little bit more, we'll walk through eventually more of the countermeasures and things that civilians can take to prevent these things from happening, fight back a little bit more.
It really gives civilian players a false sense of security, I think, and it really kind of feeds into that goal of creating that immersive horror movie experience. Because in this example here, you're seeing Michael scan the front of the house, you're seeing the visual feedback that says lights are on in here, which means I can't pass through there. So as a civilian, you're in that house, you've turned on all the lights, you've locked the doors, you think you're safe. Oh no! You forgot to turn on this light, and Michael's inside the house. And so, like, those kind of moments, again, while the houses feel more like a fortress and they feel like you're safe inside these walls, you're never really safe if you're not playing your cards right. So I think that's a really fun dynamic.
Yep. It's been playing really well. I've been enjoying it, and the moments that come out of it are just consistently good, because you just never know what's going to happen, and it usually leads to me jumping out of a window, because that's the best, most stylish way to get out of Michael's path.
I mean, blasting through a window, it feels good every time, you know.
Oh yeah, every time hurts, but whatever.
So another ability we demonstrated at PAX East, but we haven't really touched on officially. We haven't really communicated this much outside of it was something that existed in the PAX build, was an ability called Shape Slip. So we're going to run a clip here that shows Michael walking up to a house, looking into a window. Again, lights are off. Somebody made a mistake. There's a civilian running back and forth. We have the noise pings. He sees a closet. You see that highlight. From there, he's able to shape slip inside of this closet and then get the jump on the civilian inside. So, Jordan, let's talk a little bit more about shape slip and again, how we're using that to leverage our ultimate jump scare machine here.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I really watched closely. I wanted to see if anyone found it at PAX because I was like, okay, someone's got to see this. I think in one of the original multiplayer videos, I think in one of the shots, it like the reticle appears and the image appears for a second. I don't think anyone caught it, but this is one of his really powerful pieces of shape jump. Like we have shape dash, which has that quick move forward and gets you maneuvering pretty quickly, but shape slip gives you the opportunity to really get into a place fast, additionally through killer sense. So you can shape slip in shape jump. So if you're in shape jump and you're moving around, you see a hiding spot that's a little ways away, you aim at it, you can jump into it. But then if you're in killer sense, the first person view, obviously you're not being looked at by anyone, all those same conditions, shape slip will bring you in there and get you into that hiding spot. And those hiding spots are all around the map. There's car doors that you can use out in the open. There's different tool sheds and all the different hiding spots throughout houses. Like if you can find that visual connection to it, you're going to be able to shape slip into it and allow you to jump out and really scare people, especially if they're running towards that hiding spot and you get in there before them. Like that, there's some gold that happens in those types of situations. So it's powerful. It's got a cooldown to make sure it's not overly abused in that way, but it's led to a lot of really good situations and continues to fuel that ultimate jump scare machine that we're building.
Yes, absolutely. So, like you said, we were lurking at PAX East, waiting and watching to see. There's two things: shape slip, and then we had the flamingo execution. That I was just waiting, waiting all PAX East. I did see a couple, so I was like, okay, perfect. But yeah, I do want to give out a huge shout out to everyone who joined us at PAX East as well. It was a really great opportunity for the team. We met so many excited players, and we got to see those kind of jump scare moments in person and see people literally scream out loud while playing this game. And as you touched on, I think that kind of reinforces a lot of the goals the team has. But again, really grateful for all the people who came out, played, left feedback, and kind of joined us for that experience. One more Michael ability we want to kind of reinforce here, and we've shown this ability taking out a fleeing car. And that is the blackout ability. This is a very versatile move in Michael's kit. So not only can it shut off lights, kill flashlights, kill automobiles. As you'll see in this clip here, there's a civilian inside the house. Oh, the door's open. I'm going to make a break for it. I'm going to sprint outside. Michael says, no. I'm sorry. Blackout ability closes that door, temporarily locks the door, and then gives Michael that chance to close the distance and grab that civilian. So blackout ability in a lot of ways feels like a very important component of Michael's kit. How can players use this outside of what we talked about? And then how can Michael use this again as a killer who's not known for his speed? How can he use this to kind of like keep that pressure on civilians?
I mean, you covered a lot of it, and we've shown a lot of it. It's got a lot of uses to deter and prevent. And I think one thing that a lot of people have kind of caught on to, if you're kind of reading between the lines here, is blackout is that it gives you an extra chance to get into shape jump and get in and out of shape jump. It provides that moment where you're shutting off everything around you and giving yourself the opportunity to get away or slip back and forth to really surprise people. So having the ability to shut the doors and kind of catch people off guard with that, like being able to hit the car in its vicinity, there's just a lot of ways that allow you to use it, and then in combo with some of these other abilities to really make those moments happen, while not being super, it's one of those ones that's not super offensive to the characters. It's got its utility, and it's been really fun to use in these different ways. And honestly, there's always new things that people discover when games like this and we take a more sandbox approach. There begins to become moments and instances that are there and working, but aren't always fully revealed to our gameplay yet. So I'm excited to see what that holds for us.
Yeah, calling back to some of our previous examples, in the scenario with detection pulse and shape jump, let's say those lights are on and your blackout ability is not on cooldown, you can create openings and opportunities to get inside these houses as well. And
Exactly.
then civilians, they'll know when it's going off, and that will create that kind of fear and that panic because they know Michael can be anywhere at this stage now. And I think that's a really great piece of his kit. I hate to be a tease, but I mean,
You don't
really.
hate to be a tease. You love to.
No, not at all. I love it. I lavish in it. We've only shown a portion of Michael's kit thus far. We've shown, in my eyes, a pretty strong suite of his abilities, but there are a lot more options for players that are going to be available at launch that can really help you customize how you want to play Michael, and we're excited to show those at a later date. So Jordan, Michael's looking pretty strong, right? He's looking like a force of nature. We've shown that civilians can fight back. They can get weapons. They can get guns. They can combat Michael. But it seems like maybe the deck is stacked against them a little bit because his kit is strong. But we did want to introduce this concept of mysterious items in this world and in these play spaces, which will give civilians a chance to fight back Michael's seemingly overwhelming power. Jordan, do you want to talk a little bit about what these mean? And I know we are intentionally keeping a lot of this secret until launch, just as a heads up. If you want more info ahead of launch, we're not really going to give it to you. But what can we talk about today when it comes to these mysterious items?
These are something that we're not giving a lot of info on because they're, like you'd said, they're purposefully something we want people to explore and discover. They're rare, and they're things that will appear in the loot pool and do things that might affect Michael a little bit more than a regular household item. It's just something that we want people to discover and find out about, because there's moments and instances where these may save you and your friends from imminent death, and we wanted to make sure those opportunities existed beyond just what you're fully capable of doing with all the other items. So it throws a little bit of an extra wrench in Michael's gears, and we were excited for people to explore what these do.
Yeah, when it comes to our randomized loot pools, I think items like this kind of really incentivize you to check every nook and cranny, because there is a chance you can get an item like this, and an item like this could literally be the difference between life and death in the game. So super excited about that. Next up, we have our community Q&A. But before we dive into all of that, I do want to take a quick second to just touch on some pre-order information, recap the different editions, and touch on some frequently asked questions about the different versions. So let's dive into that real quick. Halloween the Game is launching on September 8th, 2026 on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, Steam, and Epic Game Store. Pre-orders for the digital edition are available now. If you pre-order the standard edition of the game, you get that awesome animated Phantom Michael Myers skin. We also have a digital deluxe edition available, which gets you that Phantom Michael Myers skin, the Inmate Michael Myers skin, and Richard and Alexis. So some things I do want to touch on when it comes to the Digital Deluxe Edition. There will be an upgrade available at launch as well. The items such as Inmate, Richard, and Alexis are exclusive to that version. So you will either need to pre-order the Digital Deluxe Edition or buy the Digital Deluxe Edition at launch to get those characters. Phantom Michael Myers is a digital pre-order exclusive. Just wanted to reiterate that and confirm that that will not be available post-launch. And that is a digital pre-order exclusive. So that's not something that is going to be available post-launch. That is an incentive and a reward for the people supporting the game on day one. We also have, more recently, we announced, arguably for some people who want to play this game as soon as possible, the most important part of the Digital Deluxe Edition upgrade is early access to the game starting on September 4th at 9 a.m. Next up, we have some physical editions. Last week, we unveiled our physical editions for Halloween the Game that will be coming a little bit later in the year. They're launching on October 6th, 2026, and that's going to be on PS5 and Xbox Series X. That includes a game poster, that includes the game disc, and it includes advanced access to the Michael Myers clown skin and 2 civilian cosmetics. Just to clarify on the advanced access and what that means, that essentially means you get instant access to these skins. Players who do not purchase this can still earn those skins in-game by completing challenges. And we also have a limited collector's edition. And I will emphasize the limited portion of this because as we've seen from the conversations online, yes, people have been very excited about this. And this includes everything you see on the screen here, the game disc, a collector's box, the shape jump figure, some posters, advanced access to a few other skins. When it comes to availability on this, it is limited, so you'll need to kind of check retailer availability on that front. But again, I will reiterate again that it is very limited. So just a heads up there. All right, Jordan, the community Q&A of our developer Q&A stream has finally come. So a few weeks ago, we put out a call to the community to get all your burning questions about this game. And we put out a thread on Reddit. We got some questions from socials, and we had hundreds of responses. So huge shout out to everyone who dropped those questions. There were a lot to kind of go through. Previous sections of the stream, we feel touched on a lot of those questions, but at the end here, we did want to touch on some other burning questions from the community. So let's get into it. First question from Pat My Kitty X. Will we get a Discord server? And yes, we are launching the Halloween the Game official Discord server on July 22nd. So keep your eyes on our socials for the official announcement there and a link to join that Discord. Next up, can we expect a content roadmap at launch, asks Haunt Knight. So right now we are focused on kind of stressing and showcasing what is available in this game on day one. Jordan has touched on in previous interviews, and we've mentioned that yes, we do have a very exciting slate of content planned for after launch, but we are not going to be discussing that until a little bit later and closer to launch. So appreciate that. We will have more details to share in the future. Importance No 1608 asks, will there be a beta? Unfortunately, no. We do not have plans for a beta at this time. All right, Jordan. We have a question here from Acceptableware 4340 that says, how important is maintaining continuity going to be with future cosmetics in terms of style and tone?
You want me to answer this one? Is that what you meant by that?
I can take it if you want.
No, I got it. It just had your logo, your name next to the thing. Anyway, to not distract for too much longer, I kind of mentioned it before, but there needs to be, strike a really good balance between the period accuracy, franchise authenticity, and making sure we're leaning into player expression. We want people to be, very excited about any of the cosmetics we have, and that's a big part of making cosmetics for games. So that's where we're gonna go with.
Absolutely. That's the ultimate goal, is making people excited about how they look in the game. Plenty Photograph 4 asks, will the face of Michael Myers on the inmate outfit be blurry like the pre-order images, or are you guys waiting to reveal what his face will look like? The face of Michael Myers will remain blurred throughout the story mode and when you use that skin in multiplayer. So you're not going to see his face. That is representative of what it's going to look like in game. Jordan, Zach Rods asks, what kind of play style are you hoping to make the game for? Casual or competitive, or a mix of both?
What a great question. There's a long, lengthy answer to this. I'll try not to yap too much about it. But
go ahead and yap.
ultimately,
it's fine.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the focus and the approach is casual. Like, there's something to what this game is on the form of a social and matchmaking experiences around interacting with other people, having fun, like having those encounters. But we also want to make sure that we're balancing and making all of our gameplay fit for people that want to sweat and like have those moments where they go back and forth. But we don't want that intruding into and building a situation where people that are just trying to enjoy the game are getting completely overshadowed by people that really have a lot of different pieces of knowledge of the game, as well as just stacking in certain directions. That's why I kind of mentioned the perks being a bit more casualized in our approach, is we didn't want to create a situation that was fully reliant on people's decision making process to build these very specific things, more so giving them the tools to play the game and find those variations and nuance. So it's much more about a casualized experience that leans into the horror, that leans into the jump scares, leans into the matches unfolding in fun and interesting ways, and then also having just a robust approach to every feature we have that allows the more competitive people to find those little nuances of killer skill and civilian skill, so that they can have those moments that they can only survive based on the fact that they've built up those skills for. So it's a blend, but I'm gonna say we're leaning more casual, and I wanna preface as well that like we're watching everything. Like, we will never hope to garner and gain the sample size needed to do anything huge right now, but the second it's out there in the wild and people are playing and there's more than just minds at work discovering all the possible combinations of gameplay, we're never gonna really be able to hit that until the game is out there, and from there it's about analyzing what's happening, understanding the issues, understanding anything that we need to balance back into place to kind of fit what I've been talking about, but also reading the community feedback. There's a period of marination time that happens for any kind of multiplayer games update or launch that you need to be very careful about not going too quickly into it, because some of it is learning the game, learning the maps, learning the routes that you take and the locations that you go to collect loot, and until that's fully kind of in a general state for the population, you're not getting a real accurate representation of the balance. So excuse me, we're going to be watching closely. We're going to be making adjustments accordingly, and we're going to be keeping all feedback in mind as we do so. And I want to make sure any updates that we do make in the future, off of this kind of initial balance pass and what we release, is very much transparent as to why we're making the choices, because there's so many. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, so throat's not being kind to me, but there's so many different choices to make, and we want to make sure that as we're making those, it makes sense, it has a reason, it's doing something that's bringing us back to the core of what we're trying to accomplish. So it's a very in-depth and nuanced thing, and the reason I'm saying these things is because the people that really care, I want you to know that we're ready to react, and we've built a better infrastructure than any that we've had in the past for getting updates out and making sure that we're addressing things. We also have on Miles' side a much more robust community interaction process and gathering of stats and things that really help us as we're making those decisions, including all the back-end data gathering and charts and all the boring data things that give us a sense of where things are at. Don't want to fully rely on those because this is video games and it's about there is some feel here, so there's a lot going on here, and I apologize for going long on this, but it's very important, including kind of what we'll talk about in this next question as well.
Yeah, no, it's very important, and we had a lot of conversations very early on in this project about, you know, that foundation and how do we build a foundation that allows us to implement and adjust based on player feedback, based on how we feel. I don't want to say more rapidly, because as you touched on, we want to give appropriate time to these decisions and make sure these decisions are the right decisions for the game. But that foundation for us is so much stronger, and I think that's going to make the kind of relationship between how we update and message much more streamlined this time around. So we're all very excited about, you know, getting this out in the wild and having those conversations with the community.
Yep, exactly.
And the next question, this is a big one. This is a big one in this genre.
Yeah, last time.
Oh yeah, you got some yapping to do, mister. All right, this comes from DeathCube K318. How do you plan to combat the threat of bully squads in this game? Bully squads, Jordan. People love them. How are we stopping them? How are we shutting them down?
You know, it's a fun one because, you know, this the challenging part about building a sandbox is like there's not a wrong way to play it. Like you can't tell people, especially people that are playing online, no, you can't play this way. It's all got to work. So I took this one on myself very early on as we were designing the combat systems, as we were designing the character status effect systems and ability systems. There's an emphasis on understanding the like solidity and the pacing, as well as the countermeasures that we need to be able to have in place to be able to give the players the opportunity to go all out and not restrict them from doing anything, but allowing Michael to rise to the occasion, quite literally in some circumstances. But the bullying thing is there's just, it's an unavoidable thing, but through our general infrastructure that we built of the game itself, the design practices we put in place around the game mode itself, implementation of NPCs, there are situations where there's a lot of NPCs that can exist. Like you can get cops and get people to follow you. So there was always going to be the fact that there's a lot to carve through for Michael, and in some circumstances a lot in one place. So we made sure that he was given abilities that counteract that. You know, reality tear was a big part of it. It's a very easy get out of jail free type of situation, but we also have certain measures that are in place around pacing out the downing. Like I know we have bloodthirst that kind of gives him the strength over time, but when we're talking about people that are like, you know, in this game they're going to be trying to detain him, we need to make sure that's a little bit more difficult than just it being a thing that you can do. It's got to have those steps of knocking him down so many times and making sure you have an authority figure, whether that be a cop or Loomis, and then having to play a mini game in order to get him before he gets back up. There's layers there that happen. So making sure that's difficult to access relies on a very favorable RNG of what you're finding and what you're gathering, perks that you're getting. There's moments that'll open up and be possible, but we really want to deter that early on. When you're trying it, it's a risky proposition. Michael needs to be powerful in this game, and I'm excited to see the balance come out, because death and losing to and dying is just part of the process here. Like Michael Myers is just, he's so strong, like, and that is an important aspect of truly fearing him. So all of these pieces that I've kind of described, as well as just a more robust combat system, the different melee things that we have in place to pace out and detect connections and make sure that we're pacing out some of the stunning and crowd control elements. There's a lot of things that need to kind of dissipate when you're constantly trying to smack against them versus getting them down and then fleeing. That's the right thing to do. If you try and stick around, the idea is that you're done for. So that's what we're going to lean into, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure all these numbers are in the right place, and people are going to try really hard to go against it. And of course, just because it's that type of experience, but I want to. I feel confident that we're ready to make this a lot more nuanced in how it's being done, and give Michael the power he deserves, so that he doesn't feel like he's worried to go against people. Like, that should never be the thing. A killer in this should be, Michael Myers should be powerful and know that if I'm approaching this and I'm doing the right things, I'm going to get them. If they try and come and group up and attack me, I'm going to have things at my disposal to combat that and make sure I can take care of them or move on, go elsewhere, and clean up the rest of the objectives while they're screwing around. So I've taken this one on as something I really want to push on and get into a good feeling place, and then be very, very focused on catching anything post launch, and making sure that we're aligning the balance of this entire game as well as this specific aspect to really embody a terrifying, powerful, and just ruthless Michael Myers.
Yeah, we want to ensure that Michael stays scary. And in a lot of our playtests, you can tell who's playing Michael a bit more, because it starts to get really scary when they hone in on that kit and they start leveraging all of his different abilities and setting up these moments and putting pressure and then using other abilities to get themselves out of sticky situations. There's a lot of tools at Michael's disposal to make sure that he's unpredictable and he's scary and he's powerful. And yeah, we are very aware of the kind of, the previous history with bully squads. And I think people are going to be pretty excited about Michael's kit.
Yep.
Jordan, we have one more question for today's stream before we get on out of here. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who hung out live on twitch.tv/IllFonic, everyone who submitted their questions. Again, everyone who's just been sharing all this energy and excitement for this game, because I think our team is very excited about what we're working on, and we need to get back to work on getting this thing ready to rock for launch. Do you have any parting words with our community before we run this last question?
Excited for this last one. I mean, yeah, I've kind of touched on everything, but I'm excited. We're heads down over here, really doing everything we can to make sure that what launches is going to be just a really fun experience on so many different levels, and give people a lot to explore and try to understand and unpack. There's so much. It's tough to cover it all, and I know it sounds like we're kind of running around on different things, but there's a lot here to process that will be just I'm so excited for seeing people actually interacting, hearing the prox chat go off, like hearing people just have fun killing each other. It's just you can't I can't put words to kind of how that's going to feel when we finally get there. So I'm excited.
Yes.
And thank you everyone for seeing that the type of gameplay we're building, and getting excited and knowing that the things that we're going to be able to do and the things you will be able to do in this game. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and as Jordan touched on, I see some people in the chat asking about this. Yes, proximity chat will be in this game. We're very excited about its implementation. We know it's a fan favorite feature, and so that will be available.
Yep.
And now, Jordan, our final question comes from Snow S54, and they ask, will Michael Myers be able to drive cars / vehicles in Halloween the game? And for this one, we are just going to let the clip do the talking for us. Take care, everyone. Have a good afternoon, and we'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.